There is a kind of pain that slices far deeper than being told, "I don't love you anymore." It isn't the sharp sting of the breakup words themselves. It is everything that follows. The cruel, quiet aftermath when you wake up one morning and realize you have gone from being her entire world to being absolutely nothing in the span of a single heartbeat. One day you were woven into her thoughts, her messages, her plans, her laughter, her future. The next day, silence. She is already out there posting stories filled with fresh energy, new smiles, new voices in the background, new hands holding the camera. Meanwhile, you sit alone with memories that now feel like evidence of a crime committed against your heart. You carry questions no one will ever answer. You stare at a phone screen that refuses to light up the way it once did. And the silence that fills the room feels heavier than any argument ever could. Most men believe that moment marks the end of their story, the final defeat. They convince themselves that heartbreak equals permanent damage, an irreversible scar, a complete and total loss of power. They think the wound will never close, that the person who walked why most men think heartbreak is permanent defeat away will always hold the upper hand. But the truth is far more uncomfortable for her and far more liberating for you than that story allows. Because while loud arguments, tearful explanations, desperate late-night messages, begging for closure, and emotional outbursts tend to fade quickly from her memory, silence does something entirely different. Silence lingers, silence burrows, silence lives rentré inside her mind long after the drama has been forgotten. When a man chooses silence after being discarded, not out of petty revenge, not out of childish games, not out of burning hatred, but out of cold, deliberate, glacial self-respect, he removes something she never imagined could be taken from her. He removes access. He removes significance. He removes the emotional mirror she used every day to see how important, how desired, how central she was to someone else's universe. And in the exact moment that mirror vanishes, something deep inside her begins to quietly fracture. A woman does not lose her ego when you confront her. She does not shatter when you raise your voice. List every hurt. Send long paragraphs explaining your pain or plead for her to see your side. Confrontation, no matter how heated, keeps you emotionally present. It keeps you tethered. It keeps you orbiting. The hidden power of silence versus drama feeds the quiet assurance inside her that she still matters, that she still holds influence, that she still occupies space in your inner world. But silence removes you entirely. Silence is absence. Silence is finality without fanfare. Silence is the most devastating thing you can give someone who once believed they could walk away from you without consequence. At first, she tells herself, your silence is temporary. She assumes you are hurt, licking your wounds, sulking in the corner, secretly hoping she will change her mind. She expects that eventually you will crack, that you will reach out with questions, with pain, with a final attempt to be understood. That expectation is her shield. It protects her ego. It whispers to her in the quiet moments, he still cares. I still have power. Whenever I decide, he will still be there waiting. But as the days stretch into weeks and your silence remains steady, calm, and completely unbothered, that shield begins to crack. The comfort evaporates. The certainty collapses. She starts asking herself questions she never thought she would need to ask. Why isn't he fighting for me? Why isn't he breaking? Why did the entire emotional connection disappear without even the smallest protest? This is the moment. Silence becomes devastating. Not because you plotted revenge, not because you wanted to punish her, but because your how confrontation keeps you orbiting her ego absence, forces her to confront a reality she was never emotionally prepared to face. She no longer controls how you feel. She no longer occupies any real estate in your emotional landscape. And the man she believed she could quietly replace chose peace over performance. A broken heart reacts, a broken heart begs, a broken heart explains. A disciplined man withdraws, and that withdrawal rewrites the entire narrative she has been telling herself. Instead of remembering you as emotional, needy, dependent, or desperate, she is forced to remember you as composed, grounded, and utterly unreachable. And that version of you is infinitely more difficult for her to dismiss or rewrite. This is not about revenge. This is about dignity. This is about understanding why silence, when it is rooted in genuine, unshakable self-respect, inflicts a deeper psychological impact than anger, tears, or any outburst ever could. Anger keeps you connected. Tears keep you connected. Explanations keep you connected. Silence ends the emotional contract completely. She may have broken your heart, but your silence did something far more powerful. It forced her to feel the complete loss of control. It forced her to face her own reflection without the comfort of your reaction, and it quietly dismantled the ego she once believed was untouchable. When heartbreak first strikes, the instinct is almost primal. You want to make her understand. You want her to feel the full weight of what she has done. You want to lay out every silence buries deep, what she really loses. Broken promise, every sleepless night, every moment you felt your chest cave in. You convince yourself that if she truly grasped the depth of your pain, something would shift. She would feel remorse. She would reconsider. She would at least respect you. But explanations do not create remorse. They create relief. Every word you speak, every message you send, every vulnerable confession you make tells her on the deepest subconscious level, I still care what you think of me. I still need you to see me. I still need your acknowledgement to heal. And that knowledge soothes her ego, even if she never responds, even if she blocks you. The fact that you remain emotionally available, even in pain, reassures her that she still holds power. Silence flips the entire script. Silence communicates without a single word that you no longer need her validation, her apology, her understanding, or her permission to move forward. Anger proves attachment. Pain proves connection. Silence proves independence. At first, that silence feels powerless to you. It feels like surrender. It feels like giving up your last chance to defend yourself or prove your worth. But in truth, silence is not weakness. Silence is restraint. And restraint carries enormous psychological weight precisely because it is the one thing she never expected from you. She anticipated the moment her shield cracks reaction. She expected tears, questions, anger, or at least one final emotional outburst. Those responses would have kept her at the center of your world. They would have confirmed that she still held influence. Silence destroys that expectation completely. There is no feedback loop. There is no reassurance. There is no emotional mirror reflecting her importance back to her. And in that sudden void, the discomfort begins. Her mind rushes to fill the emptiness your words once occupied. She starts wondering why you did not react, why you did not fight for answers, why you did not beg for closure. The stories she tells herself in that silence are far more powerful, far more haunting than anything you could have ever said out loud. Most men break their silence far too early. They mistake discomfort for distance. They fear being forgotten. They fear losing their final opportunity to explain themselves or prove they were right. But silence is not about being remembered. Silence is about changing the way you are remembered forever. A man who explains his heartbreak is remembered as emotional, fragile, dependent. A man who chooses silence is remembered as composed, self-contained, and untouchable. And composure in the face of devastating loss creates a kind of cognitive dissonance inside her that she cannot easily resolve. It forces her. Why explanations? Give her relief. Silence gives you power to question every assumption she made about your strength, your neediness, your emotional availability. This is not punishment. This is removal. This is the deliberate act of stepping out of a dynamic where your pain becomes her entertainment, her reassurance, or her ego fuel. Silence denies her that access entirely. A truly stoic man understands that closure does not come from conversation. Closure comes from self-respect. He allows silence to do the work that explanations could never accomplish. He lets time replace emotion. He lets absence replace argument. And in that long, unbroken absence, the power dynamic shifts irreversibly. She may never admit it. She may never reach out. She may never speak your name again. But internally, silence leaves an indelible mark. It tells her that the man she hurt chose peace over reaction, that he valued himself enough to walk away without drama. Silence does not scream. Silence echoes, and what it echoes is far louder, far more lasting than any word ever spoken in pain. If this message is already stirring something deep inside you, if you feel the weight of what real from reaction to restraint, becoming unreachable dignity looks like, then do this right now. Smash that like button so this truth reaches more men who are suffering in silence. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because every week we go deeper into the mindset, the discipline, and the psychology that turns heartbreak into unbreakable strength. And drop a comment below with the words, "Silence is my power." If you are choosing dignity over drama starting today, the journey does not end here. The real transformation, the kind that makes you unrecognizable to the version of yourself who once begged for closure, happens when you join the Brotherhood. The link is in the description. One-time enrollment, lifetime access. Every future course, book, live call, and lesson belongs to you forever. No monthly fees, no limits, just one decision that changes your direction for the rest of your life. If you are serious about rising above emotion, mastering discipline, and living with unshakable purpose, click that link, join us, and become the man who no longer needs anyone's permission to be whole. She broke your heart. She took the first step away. But you decide how the story ends. You decide whether you choose dignity, choose yourself. Final message collapse into reaction or rise into stillness. You decide whether you remain emotionally available for her ego or remove yourself completely. Choose silence, choose dignity, choose yourself. And watch how the entire world changes when a man finally stops performing pain and starts protecting his peace.